Turn the love up a little bit louder. Rep the king just a little bit prouder. Putting hope on the radio. See why I'm gonna let 'em know. It's the inspirational power hour.
You are listening to the Inspirational Power Hour podcast with your host, Chandra Wise. This is a podcast for anyone who loves gospel music. We go behind the scenes and talk to the artists and the songwriters and the producers and the creatives that create the genre. And this week is no different. Now, I'm incredibly excited to talk to recording artist, songwriter extraordinaire, Myron Butler. Myron Butler has been a staple in gospel music for years, and now he's here to talk about his brand new album, My Tribute, a tribute album to the late, great Andrae Crouch. So we're unpacking all about this album, about how he chose the hits, the amazing collaborations that's on it, and how he is keeping alive the legacy of Andrae Crouch. So as always, make sure that you're following online on Instagram and Twitter. Make sure to follow at Chandra Wise, and on Facebook, make sure to like the Inspirational Power Hour fan page. All right, so let's get right into my conversation with Myron Butler.
It's the inspirational power hour.
I am incredibly excited this week to have my friend and my brother, Myron Butler. He's here. He's hanging out and talking about his brand new album, and he's talking about a great global event that I cannot wait to share. Myron, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. It's always great to talk with you, and great to come on and share with your listeners, and just thankful for your support.
Absolutely, always, because you consistently bring us great gospel music, and this is no different. Now, you're here to talk about a brand new album. This is a very, very special album, and so let's jump right in it. Tell us about your latest album.
Well, what this is a Andrae Crouch tribute record, literally a record to celebrate the life, the legacy, and music of what I think to be one of the most impactful artists and musicians and songwriters, period, not just in gospel music. And so but I do believe that honoring the legends in gospel music is something that is needed, just because we have so many legends that have paved the way for many of the artists that many of us today to be able to present gospel music. So just wanting to do a project that kind of went through some of the catalog of Andrae Crouch. We those that know Andrae Crouch's catalog's vast, and you can't just cover it in one album. So for me, it was to assemble what I think is a great group of artists and singers to honor his music, and to kind of represent it to this generation, to make sure that the music of one of the greatest legends in gospel is just resounded in each generation.
Now, you talked about his vast catalog, because it was definitely that. Now, how in the world were you able to choose the songs that you did for this album?
Well, it was a combination. The way I approached choosing the music was, songs that were special to me, songs that I thought would resonate with a large group of the listeners out there. And then also, in some of the instances, some of the guest artists that I selected, I would have conversations with them and ask them, what Andrae Crouch song was special to them. And so in certain cases, it was one of those three. That's just the way I approached it, just because, there's songs that, we included, there's songs that we weren't able to include. And so for me, it's my prayer that these tribute types of records become norm in gospel music, so that you can have so many artists that are covering different songs in the catalog of someone like an Andrae Crouch.
Now, I've taken a listen to it, and Myron, let me tell you, it is fantastic. So much so, now you know me, I can't wait to do some of this at my church now. I'm just telling you.
And that's what I want, Chandra. I think it is needful, and for me, it's about just doing that. It's about exposing the generation that doesn't know the catalog and the significance of an Andrae Crouch catalog, but because Andrae Crouch's music is just that. It's Sunday morning. He did so many things with his catalog and with his songwriting and with his songs. He was able, I often tell people growing up, Andre's songs were literally the soundtrack to our faith walk, to our journey, understanding Christ. I was telling someone, they asked me, like, what was one of the, songs that was special to me, and I said, We Are Not Ashamed, because growing up, that song literally taught me Bible. Like, I had never encountered that Bible verse before, and so, but also to have music and songs that we can do in Sunday morning service. That's really what, it's about, and that was one of my desires for this project.
And it took me down memory lane, because you can't listen to it, especially being of our generation. You can't listen to it and not have some memory and not have some memories. You know what I mean? And let me tell you, Oh, It Is Jesus is just a favorite. And can I just say that Blanche McAllister on that is just perfect?
Yes. And it was those things, because I wanted to kind of approach it how, even if it wasn't Andre's approach, how I interpreted. Andrae had this unique ability outside of his skill set, his anointing, and his ability to present the gospel in a unique way. He had this uncanny way of picking voices that literally embodied that song. Like, I remember the first time hearing Tata Vega sing, Oh, It Is Jesus, and it was just like her voice in and of itself was an embodiment, even outside of the song. And so, and Blanche is a friend of mine, but her voice is just that. It's one of those signature voices that when you hear it, it just has a life, a character all unto itself. And so that was, it was intentional. I was wanting to kind of recreate those same feelings, as you said, memories of, because when I heard those songs, I identified them with certain places in my life and certain times in my life. And so I was, hoping and praying they would do the same for those of us that grew up on Andrae Crouch, but that it would also be memorable to the people that hadn't heard those songs.
Yeah, and Tata Vega, let me tell you, love her. And I don't think she gets enough recognition, especially for that moment, giving us that moment in gospel music,
Oh, yeah.
And another reason that I think is significant is, I'm going to share this now, and I tease this young baby about this all the time, but I just remember this. So a good friend of mine and an incredible singer, incredible voice. She's a millennial, and I'm always teasing my millennials, But one time I was asking her, we had to sing at something, and I asked her if she knew Precious Lord. And her response to me was, "You mean the Elvis song?"
Wow.
Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Listen, let me tell you. And you know what? I have to say this. I have to take some of the responsibility of this, because it's our job to teach them. So can I tell you that I sent her back this long dissertation about Thomas Dorsey? You hear me?
But you know what? I think that's what is needful, and this kind of touches on where we are now as a culture. We are in the, Black Lives Matter. We are in the honoring our rich history as a people, and I think one of the things that is needful and one of the things that needs to be commonplace, not just because, the other thing that we were doing, we wanted to release this project. This June is Black Music Month. So, we set aside that month, but, every month should be Black Music Month. But what we're doing is we're trying to highlight and to be focused about passing down our heritage as a people, the traditions in our music, the history of our music, the importance of our music. Because that's what it was when I was coming up. You had to understand the importance of hymns. You had to understand the importance of those impactful, people that made impactful contributions to our culture. And I think that's something, now it's not a dig, it's not, a jab, but, you can get on YouTube and you can, Google this person and Google that person and not really understand the depth of their contribution. And I think it's needful. And you're right, the responsibility is on us to make sure that the generations behind us, number one, understand who it is, what it is, and the importance of it, and then that informs how they move forward. Still be progressive, still push the envelope, but don't do that being devoid or understanding how we got to this point.
And Andraé Crouch can definitely be credited as one of those gospel legends who helped create the sound of church, the sound of Sunday morning, the sound that we still know and almost by definition and associate with gospel music and church and Sunday morning.
Right. And that's the thing. the songs are as impactful today, 2020, as they were 20 years ago. And that's the type of music that you have to continually highlight. He literally shaped, I promise you, shaped the way that church sound, the sound that we know of church. And it's like, you walk into any church right now and hear the blood will never lose its power. You will walk into any church right now and hear to God be the glory. And so you have to make sure that that type of music has a premier and prime place in the real estate or in the landscape of what we know gospel music and what we know gospel music. What we know music to be, because that's the other thing. His music also transcended denominational lines. His music transcended racial lines. I go over to Norway or go over to Australia or go over to these other countries, and you still hear the impact of the music of Andraé Crouch. And so at that point, you have to make sure that it's not forgotten inside of our own culture, and you have to make sure that we intentionally make sure that that music has a place.
Thank you so much, Myron. I really believe that this moment is by design. We need this moment right now to carry us through our community, our churches, our homes. We need it to help us navigate through what we are going through right now. You know what I mean? So I thank you for recreating this body of work in such an impeccable way, and the collaborations. Can we talk about that real quick before we go? Tell us about these amazing collaborations.
Yeah, you got Fred Hammond on Can't Nobody Do Me Like Jesus. You have Kim Burrell on We Are Not Ashamed. You have, of course, Kirk Franklin and Kalante Gavin on Take Me Back. And that was, for me, I wanted to be intentional about trying different things, but intentional about bridging the gap, bridging the generational gap. You have a Kirk Franklin who some people, you look at him as the elder statesman, and, Kalante Gavin, who is the new millennial generation, and how they would interpret or approach a song as monumental as Take Me Back. You got Dorinda Clark Cole on Right Now. On the medley, you got Kenny Lattimore, you got Anthony Hamilton, you got Shelby Five, you got Candy West, and for me, all of those voices are significant, and for me, it was both, because I believe that those voices have a reach that I believe will kind of draw some people in, and also I think that stylistically and just the sound of their voices, for me, was the perfect pairing for those songs. And even new artists, I guess to use the term underground artists, like a Diana Reddick, who's in the San Francisco, Oakland area, who just has this amazing voice that I think, is suitable for a song like My Tribute or To God Be the Glory. So for me, the guest artist was intentional. It was something that I hope even will draw people in and of itself.
All right, the album is available this Friday, is that correct?
This Friday on all digital platforms, and also later on, just because I believe that this is an album that warrants it, we're going to make vinyl available in a limited quantity. So, those of us who still have a record player or, that trend is coming back around, we want to make it available there. But on all digital outlets, Apple Music, Pandora, Spotify, YouTube, all of those, it'll be available this Friday.
And also, guys, don't forget Andraé Crouch. His birthday is July 1st, so it's going to be a global celebration. Make sure that you're on the lookout for that. Thank you, Myron. We truly, truly appreciate you.
Thank you. As always, I have to say it again. Thank you for supporting my music down through the years and always allowing me the opportunity and space to come on and share.
Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. As always, make sure to continue to follow online on Instagram and Twitter. Follow at Chandra Wise, and on Facebook, make sure to like the Inspirational Power Hour fan page. A huge thank you to my friend and brother, Myron Butler. Please take time and check out the album, My Tribute. You will not be disappointed. It is a great album. All right, guys, as always, stay focused, stay encouraged, and stay safe. Remember that we're blessed to be a blessing, so let's take time and bless somebody else. Have a good one, and I'll see you next time.
It's the inspirational